Okay. So welcome everybody, and don't forget our virtual field trip this evening at 7 o'clock. Hopefully you can finish off your day. You need to go back to work for a little while, and then you can come back, bring some snacks, beverages, dinner, whatever you need to join us for our evening program. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand this over to you, Abby.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending. It's Robin, Hompesch, and I here together from Jack Creek Preserve Foundation. I'm the executive director for the foundation and have been for the past 3 years. Robin, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Robin Hompesch again. I'm a retired teacher after 34 years teaching science and math, but ended my career at Bozeman High School teaching sophomore biology and a wildlife ecology and management class that I created. I now work part-time for Jack Creek Preserve with Abby, developing professional development opportunities for teachers or teacher classes based or focused on wildlife conservation.
And so while our mission mostly focuses on conservation, education, and youth, this program Robin developed in 2018. And we have a quick video, and it's just going to help give you some perspective as to who we are and what we do. And then I think what we want to do is learn what all you do. And so we wanted to take the opportunity for the 3 minutes and 20 seconds that the video plays. If in the chat you would put in whether you are teachers seeking professional development opportunities or whether you are a provider. And that way it'll sort of steer our next part of our conversation, if that makes sense. And so I'm gonna, can I share my screen right now? I'm going to.
Yeah, do it.
So I want this one, yeah.
Does everyone know where the chat box is so that they can type in their name and who they're affiliated with? I guess so.
Okay, so where's my screen? Stand by. Sorry. Where did my screen go?
The technical difficulties here, but we're almost there.
Everybody hear it?
And wetland.
Can anybody see or hear the video? Oh, where's my technical person? Is Rebecca on?
Obviously not.
So I'm gonna stop share. How do I stop share? Stop share. Okay, so nobody saw anything then? Oh, okay, so what we'll do is we'll just provide a link in the chat and you can watch the video afterwards. And that's fine. It would just tell you a little bit about what we're offering and it sort of set the stage. But I still feel like this technical glitch moment gave us an opportunity to see what everybody else is doing, whether you're a provider or whether you're seeking for opportunities. And I think that's enough that we can facilitate the rest of the discussion. If you want to go ahead, Robin.
First thing I'd like to ask is if just to see people, would that be possible? It feels like we're talking to a blank screen. Oh, there's someone. Rose, hi Rose. And Susie. Oh, I know these people. Hi, Susie. Okay, so there's basically the four of us. Is that what I'm?
Everybody, all these people are on, but they're just choosing to not do their.
But they're okay. So we apologize that the video did not work. We set it up yesterday and it worked perfectly, but of course today it does not. But what we saw just basically from the chat.
I was just gonna maybe provide some troubleshooting. I'm sorry, I've got something else work related going on, so I'm kind of monitoring the chat and the discussion, but I didn't have my audio on. But did you click that box that says share sound when you were doing the screen share?
I did. I did not check the optimized one though, because we thought that one might be causing an issue yesterday, but or whenever I did the trial. Okay. But I did do the sound one. Do you want? I think it's fine if I just provide the link and people can see it on their own time.
Great.
And we continue with the discussion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so thank you, Rebecca, for trying to help. Welcome to the world of distant learning. So I know I'm sorry, this is a little confusing, but it looks like there's 3 people that are physically participating and the others are listening in. So with only that many people, could you guys explain what you do and how you're interested in professional development? So let's start with Susie. Hey, Susie.
Hey, Robin, good to see you and everybody. I'm Susie Taylor. I'm at MSU with the Science Math Resource Center. We're in the Department of Education. So we do both STEM programming for youth and professional development for STEM teachers, including school teachers and out of school educators. So just wanted to attend and see what ideas are flowing out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. How about you, Rose?
Hey, Robin, how are you?
Hi.
I'm attending as a listener, and also I'm a co-chair of the conference, so I'm kind of paying attention if anybody needs anything. And I'm interested to hear what you are doing, what's going on with Jack Creek Preserve.
Great.
I teach teachers too, so I'm always listening to what's going on in the science education world.
Perfect. Thanks, Rose. Heather.
Hi, I work in development for Ecology Project International, but have a background in environmental education for over a decade. Our organization, if folks aren't familiar with it, we offer multi-day immersive residential science programming for local high school students in 5 countries. We also work with visiting students, and increasingly we're offering NGSS trainings for science teachers at our field sites in 5 countries.
And Heather, I met your original founders at Closing Eye years ago. And I've been sort of watching and saw that you started picking up some teacher professional development, which I was really excited to see. Yeah. I've also had several of my students participate in your Yellowstone program.
Awesome. I'm the grant writing coordinator for the Yellowstone program. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Yes, my kids loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Call them my kids, but that's what we do as teachers. Is there anybody else who I can't see but would like to comment about what they do?
Well, there's the chat too, and I think
Oh,
we read some
I'm
of those.
sorry. I can't see the chat.
So we had a mixture of providers and also teachers or educators seeking professional development opportunities. And so it's kind of half and half, it looks like, maybe.
Okay, so how many are teachers? Is there anyone that's a teacher? Can you scroll down? So
Trying.
okay.
So I think because they didn't see the video, if you just want to tell
Yeah,
them how.
so let me tell you about what we do at Jack Creek. So Jack Creek, we have 4,500 acres between Ennis and Big Sky. So we're up at about 8,000 feet. Our property is a rectangle and it connects both to the north and south sections of the Lee Metcalf Wilderness. Again, we're under a conservation easement, but we do have an education center that has the full kitchen, showers, etc. We of course want to build more and expand it more, but you know, dreams for the future. So what I was hired to develop some professional development classes, basically focused on wildlife conservation for teachers in our area. But we've had teachers from all over the state attend, and we even have a teacher now from Minnesota who's going to attend our next class. So we're starting to attract people, and they're traveling quite a ways, which is wonderful. So basically, we bring teachers together for a couple days up at Jack Creek, and we bring in, well, for instance, organizing right now a grizzly bear workshop or class for teachers, and we're having biologists from Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, from the Fish and Wildlife Service, from the USGS, who are doing grizzly bear research in Yellowstone Park, bringing all those people together with teachers. Prior to the biologists, we're going to be going through existing curriculum and looking at what exists out there right now focused on grizzly bears, as an example. And then we'll spend a day with these biologists, listening to their presentations, going out in the field with them. And then after each presentation, we'll be brainstorming and trying to think of how, so the teachers and the biologists will be brainstorming on how and what they need to bring the material into their classroom and how it's applicable with the new science standards. And then at the end, we have some work time for teachers developing whatever activities or whatever. Our ultimate hope is that we produce things that can be posted online for any teacher who might be interested in looking at what we create. So that's sort of the end game. So this year we're looking at a grizzly bear workshop, and that's for K-12 teachers. But what we've discovered is mostly middle school and high school teachers have attended. So I'm now talking with elementary teachers to discover what their needs and interests are as far as wildlife conservation. And in August, I'll be developing a workshop specifically focused on elementary teachers and what we can do to help them in the classroom. So, and prior to this, we've done workshops on elk and bighorn sheep, wetlands,
history of wildlife conservation,
history of wildlife conservation, native trout and wetlands, and riparian zones. So a variety of topics.
I think the only thing, if you'd let me add,
please,
Robin, is what the way that we like to present the information is give all views. So we'll bring in maybe somebody that's been doing radio telemetry on the elk population, and maybe a hunter. With the grizzly stuff, maybe we'll bring in a rancher, so that the teachers are getting the whole picture of it's not as easy as just having one biologist and what they're dealing with and their management methods, but how is the public reacting to whatever's going on with this particular species? How are ranchers reacting? And so that they get the whole picture of the challenges in conservation and management with most species, very few species have no controversy at all. And so that's something that we want to make sure that we include in all of our classes is, you know, showing the whole picture of what it takes to manage a particular species. Anything else?
No. So does anybody have any questions about what we do at Jack Crook? Okay. Lori, thank you so much for your comment about the Grizzly Bear Teacher Resource Guide. I was involved 20 whatever years ago up at the Boone Crockett Ranch developing the first guide. And so I'm so excited that you guys are working on updating it. And so I would be very interested. When do you think that will be done? The end of the summer?
Yeah, probably the end of the summer. We're slowly getting through the different chapters and we're revamping. I think what's slowing down us a little bit is we're kind of revamping it. So for example, the first chapter will be more on the conservation history of grizzly bears, but it will have a lot of information there from the Montana tribes relationship with bears. And so we're in that process right now of with our tribal liaison staff of reaching out to the different tribes and nailing that down, which is going to take a little while. But hopefully we're go to print and it's available by September.
Wonderful. So perhaps we could maybe help in some way if our teachers can, and then we can disperse it, you know, to our teachers. Is it going to be available for anyone who's interested through FWP's website, or how would the teachers?
No, it will be for sale on the Boone and Crockett Club, just like it always has been, but we will also offer it as like for free to those teachers who go through a professional development on grizzly bears. And so like if you guys were offering a professional development, we could provide those to you to hand it out, but we just don't want to just be giving them out because there's just, as you know, there's just so many nuances to grizzly bear management. We want to make sure that the teachers have gone through some sort of professional development on how to use the guide and more of the backstory.
Certainly. So are you, is FWP, going to be doing some grizzly bear professional development opportunities for teachers or?
Yeah. So that's why I want to, maybe after this, so we don't hold everybody hostage here, Abby, is maybe you can reach out to me or vice versa, and let's see how we can partner on that, because we do want to roll it out like this fall and winter to teachers, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just us. Maybe we can partner on that.
Great.
Great.
That would be perfect.
I think the only other thing I'd ask Lori is if there's anything that would be suitable to pass on if it's ready, that you would want us to make sure that we have in our messaging with our grizzly bear training this June, even if it's not ready, like if there's something really different or in the way that we're doing something with grizzly bears that you want us to pass on, we would like to, you know, have the most up-to-date information you are wanting out there.
Yeah, perfect. If you guys want to put your emails in the chat, then I'll just reach out to you. It'll be myself and Danielle Euler.
And Danielle is one of our instructors, and so is Cecily Costello. So
great.
Perfect. I'd like to actually send everything to you and get your opinion. I would love it. So thank you, Lori.
Okay.
But sorry for bringing everyone else, but grizzly bears are kind of a hot topic though. So yeah, and it's a great example of what we do.
Super.
Anybody else with any comments or thoughts?
I had a question. Robin, you and I talked last summer lamenting that we couldn't do our live events as planned. I'm curious, are you able to go forward with doing live events, or have you done some virtual stuff, or what's happening and what's in the future?
Well, we had, you know, close to 30 teachers signed up last summer for a grizzly bear class. And also we were going to offer a class focusing on wolf management. The reality is that when I talked to teachers after COVID hit, people were not interested in something virtual, something Zoom. I mean, they were totally overwhelmed as teachers with, you know, going digital and trying to adapt their curriculum, and they just felt overwhelmed. And so they really, another Zoom meeting, you know, that's what teachers said to me, another Zoom meeting, no thank you. And so part of what I think is so valuable is to get teachers and biologists together and brainstorm and talk and think, and that interaction can occur online, but it's not the same from my perspective. So we're going to try this summer, and right now we're scheduled at the end of June, but we have an alternative date in August, just in case vaccinations, something happens. But people really weren't interested in another online discussion. Did you find that, Susie, or did you find an increase in your online?
No, we found the same, especially last summer. People were overwhelmed. I think now people are more accustomed to it. It doesn't seem so foreign, but people are dying to meet together. I just really think people are ready for it. I hope people can get vaccinated, and I hope it works out, because we all miss seeing each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just discussions are invaluable, person to person. I really feel, maybe because I'm biased after teaching for 34 years, but one-on-one discussions is how we learn as a species. But maybe I'm biased.
Well, and I think for me as the executive director, I felt pressure to adapt to our situation last year and to try to provide something. The option was to do it virtually, but like Robin said, there just wasn't an interest. And then like for our kids programs, I don't know how you provide an outdoor skills camp virtually. So I kind of felt like I was failing there, trying to adapt to what we could do last year. And we did have a lot of cancellations of programs, but we also had a lot that were able to show up and we could hold them safely too. So yeah, it was a learning moment, but virtual just was not an option for us really.
Yeah, so reality, I'm afraid, Susie, but this summer we're going to go for it. Hope.
Do you want to talk about challenges?
Yeah.
For any other providers?
Yeah, so we were just curious, because we certainly have challenges in what we're trying to develop here at Jack Creek. And we were wondering about challenges that other folks might have, such as recruiting teachers or having a facility to, what are your challenges? Anyone?
Similar to yours, teachers really were overwhelmed. They didn't want to request programs last year. And then, all of the rules and restrictions, it was different from school to school. And, getting folks interested in using some of our curriculum, we tried to adapt things to digital, and, for our art contest, email us your art. But they couldn't necessarily get that into their curriculum with all the other things they're already adapting. So, trying to get back to normal eventually.
And do you bring teachers together or educators together? You do. Wonderful.
Yeah, so some direct programming, some getting teachers to provide the programming. It's kind of all over the place for what we provide, but yeah.
Anyone else? Any challenges getting teachers interested in getting together or talking about environmental ed or conservation education or whatever you want to call it?
Our challenge isn't necessarily related to recruitment, but, and we're working on this right now, is trying to understand exactly what teachers need in the classroom. What can we provide that's most helpful, and in what form, particularly with curricula, knowing that they're going to take it to their classroom and adapt it for their classroom. So what's the best, what are the best kind of materials and in what format to give to them after they've been through professional development with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And when we started doing teacher classes. It was packed full of presenters and panel discussions and, you know, biologists coming in and talking. And then afterwards, I talk with teachers and like, well, how much of that did you incorporate into your curriculum? Oh, well, you know, we mentioned it, and but it was really not what I had hoped. And it's simply a function of time. I was a classroom teacher. You don't have time to get online and do a bunch of reading and develop something and create it. And so we're shifting more towards giving teachers work time with biologists and see where we go from there. Providing them with time, I think, is just a critical issue.
And I think early on too, I had direction from my board of directors on how they wanted to see this program develop, and we had like a full week long type thing, field trips, whitewater rafting, archery, like all this stuff that was awesome. And I think most people would have fun doing, but it kind of, we've learned that, you know, arriving in an evening and having two full days of very targeted, specific curriculum presented and interactions with the biologists is more appreciated and what people seem to have more time for. When we did the whitewater rafting, everybody loved it, but again, like you're not getting development credits or professional development credits for that, and logistically it was a nightmare for us. so just that learning process was nice for us to be like, okay, well, we can offer something, you know, valuable in a much smaller time frame, and it's pretty packed full.
It is.
We do know, we're aware that we need to have more field time, like more hands-on stuff, and we're working on that. But yeah, that learning curve was there for us for sure.
Yeah. Has anyone else modified their program? Have your programs evolved?
Abby, I can speak to that a little bit. Our professional development, because we mostly do the Project Wild professional development, that hasn't changed much, but except for it's been done through distance learning. But the person who teaches that, Ryan Schmaltz, has been really good at coming up with ways to keep teachers engaged in hands-on activities. I think we also, on the other side, we've been trying to offer distance learning programs for teachers. And Rebecca, you sort of spoke to this too, is they're just overwhelmed right now. So even though they're using the tools, which is good. So I think when we get on the other side of this, they'll understand the technology, how to use it, and they'll be more comfortable with it. And I think we're going to position ourselves in a good place. But right now, what we've received back as far as feedback from teachers is they don't want another presentation to their kids. What they really were looking for is resources. So like to sort of back up what they're teaching in the classroom. So what we're going to probably land on, which is maybe something that we can partner with you on, is offering, you know, opportunities to connect with some of our biologists through, you know, distance learning. You know, maybe it's just a half-hour session. It's more questions and answers than versus doing a formal presentation. Same thing with curriculum. They just didn't have the time to really go through curriculum to teach in the classroom. That was really challenging for them. And we've heard this all along, because when we opened up our education center, Montana Wild, we had some focus groups with teachers and they asked, what did they want from us? They over and over again said, you guys have all the cool tools, like the props, you know, the hides, the skulls, you have, you know, professionals that can, you know, engage with our students. That's what they're really looking for versus curriculum and lessons. And the resource guide that we're creating is hopefully, it's not full of curriculum for them. It's just sort of more of background knowledge for them. So they feel a little bit more confident. But yeah, that's kind of what we learned in the last year, particularly with teachers. Keep it brief, like a half an hour, being available to answer questions. And that's about it. They didn't want somebody to do a formal presentation anymore.
And it seems like the opportunities when you have to learn something hands-on, like I've taken the Project Wet training in Bozeman, it was amazing. And the activities that I tend to use always are the ones that I learned hands-on during the training. I have this gigantic book that's awesome and it has really cool activities in it, but because it takes time to sit there and figure out the props and the materials I might need and just, you know, logistically how I'm going to do it, I always go back to the ones that I learned at the training. So I'm guilty of that too. And I'm not even a teacher. I probably have more time than teachers do. But, and so just that hands-on like experience learning some of those things is, I think, important.
Anyone else? I feel like there's a few people who haven't gotten a chance to talk very much.
Thank you.
And actually, I think we're done. That was really fast. But it's 12:32 and we're supposed to stop at 12:30. So any parting comments from anyone? Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining in today. So appreciate it. And I would like to ask one thing before you folks go. Could you go into the chat, whatever it is, chat room or whatever, and type down your contact information? Because I would love to have that available. And Lori, I've got yours, so thank you. That's what gave me the idea. So Lori, thank you so much. And Abby just put on mine and hers at Jack Creek Preserve also, if anyone would like to connect further with us.
Rebecca, would you mind if I tried to play the video right now? And if people need to go, take off, that's fine. But if not, then they can see it. And I put the link in too.
That would be great. And if it's not working on your computer, I can also try on my end. So I think that would be a really great send off for folks. So thank you so much for facilitating this discussion and coming here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. And thanks to everybody. So much fun to see old friends.
Okay. I'm going to try this. So share my screen. And it's this one, share sound.
The Jack Creek Preserve is a nonprofit organization which permanently protects
Is it still playing? It was working really well, and then we went to full screen and suddenly it stopped working for some reason.
Let me take it. I'll just leave it there. Can you see it again?
It seems like maybe something froze. I don't know if others are seeing what I'm seeing. I'm gonna share from mine. Let's see if this works.
Let me stop sharing.
Sound.
We're so sorry, guys.
The Jack Creek Preserve is a nonprofit organization which permanently
There we go. Okay.
protects 4,500 acres in the mountains of the Madison Range. It was established in 2005 by John and Dottie Fossil to maintain an important wildlife migration corridor linking two separate portions of the Lee Metcalf Wilderness. Our mission is preserving wildlife and its habitat by educating youth about the importance of conservation. To achieve our mission, we provide educational opportunities about wildlife and natural resource conservation to both youth and educators of youth.
Our newest program here at Jack Creek Preserve is a conservation field school. We provide teachers with professional development opportunities that are focused on conservation of wildlife and its habitat.
The next generation of conservationists are being taught right now in elementary and middle schools, and and high schools. And so this is a great vehicle to get that training and that message out to the teachers so that they can then convey that to their students. You know, we're all going to rely on them in 30 or 40 years when they're making these decisions.
So I was really looking forward to being here, coming up here, in part because of the connection into some of these conservation issues that would allow me to come back and make my classroom more relevant to the students. The scenery, the beautiful facility that they have here. This is such a valuable resource.
That'd be fun to incorporate a lot of local wildlife into my curriculum, and some of the studies that are going on now, being able to use that in the classroom, I think would be valuable.
We realized that the floodplain and wetlands in riparian was so integral to our ability to grow fish that we started doing watershed style restoration, grand scale. And we can only do that if we don't take no for an answer, right? We not only have a right to a clean and healthful environment, we have a responsibility.
For 15 years, we've been involved with restoring the headwaters of Odell Creek, which has been a very exciting, successful, and fulfilling project. We had a great day today with the Jack Creek Preserve Foundation and biology teachers from Montana and other western states. And it's really exciting to me to think that the experience of being here today can provide them with lessons learned here restoring Odell Creek that they can share with their students.
It's been really fun and interesting. Learned a lot of things. Already gathered some tools for my classroom and looking forward to implementing those tools and maybe having some of these local biologists even come in and speak to my students.
The continued existence of wildlife and wildlife habitat depends on education now, which will affect decisions made by the next generation. Conservation education will help develop passion in the next generation for wildlife and wildlife habitat. We can continue to educate teachers at the Jack Creek Preserve Conservation Field School only with your financial contribution.
Thanks for watching.
Rebecca, thank you for helping with that.
Thank you so much for leading this discussion and for being here with us.
Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye now.